say, planning to lie there until your next reincarnation? The voice didn't come from the outside. It resonated directly inside my head, mocking, calm, and completely alien. My eyes snapped open. No hospital ceiling, no asphalt. Sitting right on my chest was a black cat. His fur shimmered, as if woven from the darkness of night itself, and his golden eyes bored at me with a frighteningly human intelligence. "You?" I croaked, trying to sit up. My body felt strangely weightless, my arms too thin. On my finger, a ring crowned with a crest I had never owned glinted in the light. The cat didn't flinch. He simply blinked, and his voice echoed in my thoughts again. "Well, finally. I've been waiting 18 years for the true blood to awaken, but apparently getting hit by a truck was necessary to shake up your memory." I froze. The truck. Death. I looked around. A massive room, a canopy bed, gold everywhere, crests adorned with lilies. I knew this place. I had seen it in illustrations. Liarella Ardenvane. I breathed out. The princess who dies. The princess they planned to kill, the cat corrected, hopping onto the floor and stretching with elegant laziness. There is a significant difference, especially now that I'm awake. I pressed my hands to my temples, trying to quiet the ringing in my ears. I'm in the book. My father's a tyrant, my mother's dead, and I'm awaiting execution during the coup. This is the worst possible scenario. Your mother is not dead, he interrupted harshly. The air in the room seemed to solidify. I stared at the cat. "What did you say?" "I am the familiar of the crown's heart. I sense the life of those bound to the throne. Your mother was abducted by mages of the Order of Grey Robes. They are using her power to feed the seal of oblivion, a curse that has turned your father into a mad puppet. He is no tyrant, princess. He is a victim." The world tilted. The entire plot I knew crumbled into dust with a single phrase. In the book, the king was just a villain. No one mentioned a curse. No one knew the queen was alive. "They are suppressing his will," the cat continued, his golden eyes flashing with fury. "The stronger the seal, the less human remains in him. If we do nothing, in a year, the order will destroy the dynasty, along with you." I looked at my hands. The trembling stopped. Instead of fear, a cold clarity washed over me. "So I have a chance to fix everything?" "You are a new variable in an equation they thought was already solved." A sharp knock on the door shattered the silence. The sound was loud, demanding, like a gunshot. "Your Highness," a servant's voice called out. "His Majesty demands your presence, immediately." I closed my eyes for a second. In the original story, this meeting was the beginning of the end. Liarella walked in a frightened girl and walked out an outcast who'd signed her own death warrant. The cat brushed against my legs, and I felt a warmth radiating from him. "If you go in there now and stay silent like last time, history will repeat itself," he warned. I squared my shoulders, feeling the weight of heavy silver hair slide down my back. "I won't be silent," I answered. I stepped toward the door. This was no longer just a story from a book. This was a war, and I intended to win it. The palace corridors stretched endlessly, a black shadow gliding beside me. "Can they not see you?" I whispered, not turning my head. "Not everyone, and that is a problem," the cat replied. I didn't have time to ask why. "Your Highness?" The voice sounded very close. I started and turned around. Standing before me was a young man with dark hair and eyes the color of ash. His clothes were modest but fitted perfectly, the way clothes are worn by those who have nothing to prove. He looked at me calmly, intently, as if our meeting was no accident. "Forgive me if I startled you," he said, inclining his head slightly. "Kael Raventor, Magic Advisor." "The advisor?" In the original story, he appeared later, much later. Back then, he hadn't caused alarm. On the contrary, he seemed like one of the few who could be trusted. But it was he who helped orchestrate everything to make the king's daughter's death look inevitable. That made his role in the end particularly painful. His gaze flickered to the side, to where the cat was walking, just for an instant, but his pupils narrowed ever so slightly. "He sees," the familiar's voice whispered in my head. "Did you lose something?" I asked carefully, drawing his attention back to me. Kael smiled, softly, like a man who understood the hint but decided not to retreat. "Rather, I found something." He shifted his gaze to me. "You have a very unstable aura, Princess." A chill ran down my spine, and the tension between us pulled taut. I allowed myself a short pause, just long enough to remind him who set the tone here. I'll take that into consideration, though unsolicited advice is rarely appropriate when addressing the king's daughter. Something playful flickered in his eyes, interest. "You are right," he said after a beat. "I took a liberty. But I still advise you to be careful. Right now, there are too many things in the palace that shouldn't be here." I held his gaze. "Then perhaps you should focus on those, advisor, and not on matters that do not concern you." His smile widened. "Now that truly resembles the king's daughter." He stepped aside, clearing the path. "You are expected, Your Highness." I walked past, feeling his gaze burning into my back. The cat walked beside me, silent. "Is he dangerous?" I asked. "It's hard to say right now, but there are far more dangerous people here." The doors to the king's study burst open. It was dark inside, even during the day. Heavy curtains blocked out almost all the light. Maps and documents lay in stacks that were too neat. That's how things are arranged, not out of tidiness, but out of a habit to keep everything under control. He stood by the window, his back to me, tall, motionless, in a black military uniform. "You came," he said without turning around. Not a question, a statement of fact. His speech was precise, his tone flat, not a single unnecessary emotion. In my past life, I had seen people like this, not tyrants, not monsters, executors. "You summoned me, Your Majesty," I replied. When he turned, his gaze wasn't angry, nor was it cold. It was empty, like a man who was still acting but no longer choosing. If he truly hated me, I would feel it. If he despised me, that too. But this was different. The cat beside me hissed softly. The air grew denser, heavier. Dark magic swirled around the king's chest, compressed, looping. It pulsated out of rhythm with his heart, as if living by someone else's command. "You've grown taller," he said. The phrase was misplaced, as if he had pulled it from an old memory, not knowing why. "It has been a year, Your Majesty," I answered. He nodded, mechanically. "Speak. What do you want?" "I want to remain in the palace." "Why?" he asked coldly. In the book, Liarella was always the same, quiet, convenient, obedient. She accepted orders like the Weber, without argument and without expectation. She didn't reach out to her father, didn't get angry at him, didn't demand attention. She simply existed nearby. She never chose him, and he got used to it. If nothing is expected of you, you cease to be needed. I took a step forward. Because you are here, I answered. He clearly hadn't expected that answer. If the seal keeps him within a framework, then a sudden surge of genuine emotion should be a glitch in the system. For a split second, his gaze wavered, too brief for him to realize it, but enough for the magic on his chest to jerk unevenly, skipping a beat, as if losing its footing for the first time in a long time. I'm not the kind of person worth staying for, he said quietly. And that is where he was wrong. I know, I replied instantly. The cat purred low. A faint golden spark flickered in the air. The seal on his chest shuddered again. There. It's working. Go. Stay in the palace if you wish. It makes no difference to me. A lie. And he knew it. When the doors closed behind me, my knees went weak. I leaned against the wall to catch my breath. I'm alive, I whispered. Alive, which means we still have a chance, the cat responded. We need to move, the cat said. I turned. He stood by the door, tense, looking nothing like his usual self. His tail was low, ears slightly flattened. Now? I asked. It's already evening. That is exactly why. I walked closer. What happened? In the dim light, his golden eyes seemed darker than usual. I sensed a trace. A cold shiver ran across my skin. Whose? The power we spoke of. And it is getting weaker. I looked out the window. The sun was already setting, shadows stretching along the walls, the palace gradually falling silent. How much weaker? The cat looked away, an anxious gesture, completely out of character for him. Weak enough that if we don't go now, it might disappear entirely. My heart gave an unpleasant lurch. Where? To the old chapel. He took a step toward the door. Let's go. I'm not sure how much time we have. Only then did the palace begin to change. During the day, it lived, with footsteps, voices, the clinking of dishes, the rustle of skirts. But as soon as the sun dipped, the corridors emptied, shadows elongated, and the stone began to hold silence as if it knew how to listen. I threw on a dark cloak and slipped out of the room. The guards at the doors bowed without asking questions. A princess could walk the galleries. No one thought she was looking for things best left unfound. Are you sure this is connected to Mom? I asked as we walked. I don't sense her directly. I sense what was taken from her, the cat replied. It became hard to breathe. We walked fast. The corridors of the West Wing were nearly empty. Torches burned only every few meters, casting jagged stripes of shadow on the walls. Here, the palace no longer pretended to be safe. It was old, cold, and dusty. The cat stopped abruptly. Here. Are you sure? I whispered. Yes. Pause. The trace is unraveling. They are closing it. My heart skipped a beat. How fast? The cat looked up at me, and there was not a drop of irony in his gaze. If we slow down now, you will hear an echo. I clutched my cloak to my chest and quickened my pace. We had already turned into a narrow passage between columns when, Your Highness. That voice again. I stopped, slowly turning around. Kael stood in the shadow of an archway, as if waiting. No rush, no surprise. His gaze was calm and very attentive. Walking alone again? He said. Not a question. The cat tensed. He's in the way, he said in my head, and we have no time. I forced myself to exhale and smiled, just enough to look flawless. Does a princess need permission to walk through her own palace? No, he agreed, but the coincidences are starting to become alarming. I tilted my head slightly. Coincidences? You appeared near a magical distortion, he said calmly, and now you are heading toward where it feels strongest. There it is. He's tracking it. I took a step to the side, casually blocking the passage further down the corridor. You paid too much attention to my walks, advisor. Something resembling a smile flickered in his eyes. It is part of my job. The cat almost hissed. He senses the direction too. I realized it instantly, and there was no more time for pretty games. Then go attend to it somewhere else, I said coldly. I did not ask for an escort. I didn't offer one, he replied. Silence held. Yet. His gaze slid further down the corridor, toward where the old part of the palace began. I took a step forward, invading his personal space. Low and precise. Advisor, I said quietly, if you truly sense distortions. I allowed myself a short pause. You should check the north wing. They changed the protective seals there this morning. A lie, but a good one. Kael froze, just for a moment, long enough for me to realize he was weighing it. Are you certain? He asked. As certain as the king's daughter can be, I answered. He studied my face for another second, then slowly nodded. Then I will check. He turned and walked away, his footsteps quickly dissolving into the corridor. I didn't move until the sound vanished completely. Did he believe it? I whispered. He decided to postpone, the cat replied, but he will be back. Then we need to hurry. The cat was already moving forward. Here, he said. He stopped abruptly, as if hitting an invisible wall. I looked up. Hidden between the columns was an inconspicuous door, no crests, no decorations, almost blending into the stone. This is the old chapel, I whispered. It's not used anymore. That is exactly where the trace still holds, he said. I touched the door. The wood was cold, but yielded easily, too easily, as if it had been opened very recently. In the center, where an old statue once stood, a complex seal pattern was scorched into the stone, lines intertwined, diving into one another, emitting a cold that chilled to the bone. This is... My voice quieted on its own. The cat stepped closer. His usual mockery vanished. An anchor seal, he said. They were holding a fragment of her power here. My knees went weak. I sank down beside it, not touching the stone, but feeling a dull, alien pain rising from it. My mother's... A rushing sound filled my ears, and through that noise, as if from underwater, a voice drifted. Liarella? I whipped around. Did you hear that? I whispered. Yes, the cat answered immediately. The connection is alive. My heart clenched so tight it hurt to breathe. That means she really is alive. Yes, but they are moving the seals deeper, and her along with them. I closed my eyes. Are they doing it right now? The cat didn't answer immediately. The trace is getting weaker, he finally said. That means there is almost no time left. I rose to my feet, feeling my fingers tremble. Then we need to... Leave, he interrupted. Now. Why? The cat looked at the door. Because places like this are not left unguarded, and because we have learned enough. A chill ran down my spine. I looked one last time at the scorched seal. We'll come back. Yes, but not tonight. We exited the chapel as quietly as we had entered. The door closed soundlessly, as if nothing existed inside but dust and forgotten faith. The cat stopped at a turn in the corridor. I'm going to step away, he said suddenly. I looked at him questioningly. There is another trace, weak, old, but I need to verify it. You can go to your chambers safely. I don't sense any threat there. And he vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a strange, unfamiliar feeling of emptiness. The room was warm. Candles were already burning. Someone had lit them before I returned. The curtains were slightly drawn, and moonlight lay softly on the carpet. I took a step inside and stopped. Standing by the window was Kael. He didn't turn immediately, as if waiting for me to decide to speak myself. You're late, he said softly, without any reproach. I'm a princess, I answered. I'm allowed to return late. He smiled faintly, just the corner of his lips. You are allowing yourself a lot today. I closed the door and walked closer. You entered without permission, advisor. I preferred to wait for you, he said with a light smile. It is calmer when princesses return on their own.
The candlelight made his face softer than in the corridors. Shadows smoothed the sharpness of his gaze, but didn't hide his attentiveness. He smelled of sandalwood, warm, calm, not at all like intrigues and conspiracies should smell. Dangerous, I told myself, forbidden. I realized you wouldn't return with empty thoughts, and I was not mistaken. You have a very thoughtful look for a simple walk. I couldn't help but chuckle. You are too observant for a man who claims he's just worried. I was worried, he replied calmly, and then you lied to me and sent me to the other wing. Now we're being direct. I crossed my arms, more to hide my trembling than from the cold. I didn't claim anything. Then tell me honestly, he continued quieter. Why did you need me to leave, and what were you doing in the West Wing? I turned to the window, giving myself a second. Sometimes, I said calmly, a king's daughter just needs to be in places where no one is watching her. I felt him step closer, just a little, just enough to make it hard to breathe. No, stay calm. Breathe. He is not the hero of this story. His hand brushed mine, accidentally, almost weightlessly. Stop it. He will turn out to be a traitor. In the book, it was he standing there when it all ended. My heart betrayed me and clenched anyway. He pulled his hand away too quickly, and for some reason I wished he hadn't. That is not an answer, he said, but not a lie either. He chuckled. You are dangerous, princess. You say that as if it's a bad thing. He looked at me, intently, without pressure. I say that because the king has changed, and you have too. But you, sharply and suddenly. I turned to him. We were too close. I could smell him, warm, woody, with a note of sandalwood, completely not of the palace. Forbidden, I reminded myself. This is that very man. People change, I said softly. Yes, he agreed, but usually they need more than one night. He cut himself off, as if realizing he'd said too much. Silence hung between us, not heavy, alive, the kind where you want to either retreat or take a step forward. I looked away first. If you came to accuse me, you should have started with that. He denied it. I didn't come to accuse. He looked into my eyes. I came to understand if I should keep pretending that nothing is happening. My hand rested on the back of the armchair. His fingers touched it accidentally, or not, and lingered a moment longer than they should have. My heart skipped a rhythm. He pulled his hand away. And what did you understand? I asked, quieter. He looked at me for a long time, too long for indifference. That you're not lying, he said finally, but you are very skilled at not finishing your sentences. I smiled, a little warmer than I planned. That is also part of my position. He grinned sincerely this time, so we really are alike. I needed him to leave. Pull yourself together. This isn't the first handsome gaze in your life, even if he smells of sandalwood. While I could still think rationally. Stay. A ridiculous, dangerous thought flashed through my mind. No, go. It is better if you leave, I said quietly. He didn't nod immediately. I will leave, he said, but I won't stop watching. At the threshold, he turned back. And if one day you decide to tell the truth, I would like to hear it first. The door closed. I was left alone, pressing my palms to my chest. My heart was beating too fast. Stupid, I whispered, but staring at the fire, I knew for a long time, even before this life, I hadn't felt so alive.
The small dining room was flooded with soft light, too peaceful for a palace where any morning could be the last. I lifted my cup and noticed it. Too many glances. The ladies in waiting stood a little longer than the rules allowed. They didn't fuss, they didn't look away, they just watched, as if waiting for me to take the next step. Drink. It wasn't a feeling, more of a realization. I slowly brought the cup closer and saw one of the maids hold her breath. That was enough. Your Highness, a voice sounded nearby. Don't. I didn't even have time to turn around.
The cat under the table suddenly jumped up and hissed, loudly, viciously, making several people flinch. Someone's hand covered mine. Kael. The porcelain slipped from my fingers and shattered against the marble. Dark tea spilled across the floor, and a thin, barely visible smoke rose from it. Silence crashed down instantly. "Everyone out," Kael said calmly, and he said it in a way that no one dared to disobey. Aftermath, when the doors closed, the cat walked up to the stain, the fur on his scruff standing on end. "They wanted to remove you," he said unequivocally in my head. I stared at the smoke and felt everything inside me tighten. "Because I interfered," I said quietly. The cat didn't argue. Later, Kael suggested we go out into the garden, not as an advisor, as a man who understands. Walls have ears. The garden was nearly empty. Leaves rustled softly, the air cool and clean. Here, for the first time all day, the palace stopped crushing me. "You notice the servants," he said when we stopped by an old path. "Yes," I answered. Too many eyes were fixed on a simple lunch. He nodded. "As soon as I sensed the poison, I rushed to you. The magic was unstable, dirty." I looked at him closely. "So you are looking out for me?" "Yes," he answered without hesitation. "Ever since the king started changing." It sounded so honest. Could he really play the role of a good man that well? "If they try to kill me," I said, "it means I'm in someone's way." "It means you aren't playing by the rules," he corrected. We stopped. A pause hung between us, not tense, but cautious. "Then let's speak plainly," I said. "Why did you protect me?" He didn't answer right away. He looked at the alley, at the dark branches, as if gathering his thoughts into the right order. "I serve the crown," he said finally. "Not people, not names, the crown." I didn't interrupt. "And right now, something is wrong with it. The king has changed. His decisions have become alien. Not mistaken, just alien." There was a cold confidence in his voice. "Someone interfered," he said, "and did it so subtly that most don't even notice." His gaze hardened. "I will find those who decided they could rewrite the will of the crown for themselves, and I will punish them." My heart lurched. Here he is, the man himself. In the book, it was he who helped prepare everything so that my death looked inevitable. He stood beside me. He didn't stop it. I looked at his hands, calm, confident, at his eyes, attentive, warm. Does he lie that well? Or maybe, did he become someone's pawn back then too? "You are proposing we work together," I said. "Yes," he answered. He took a step closer. His shoulder brushed mine, lightly, almost accidentally. My heart betrayed me and clenched. Focus, now is not the time for these feelings. But standing next to him felt peaceful, and that scared me most of all. "Fine," I said, "but no secrets that could get me killed." He smiled slightly. "Agreed." We stood side by side, not touching, but sensing the warmth, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't know what was more dangerous, those who had already tried to remove me, or the one standing next to me who might one day do the same. Deep beneath the palace, where the stone had never seen light, people in gray robes gathered. The circle of seals was already activated. Symbols rotated slowly, absorbing magic, and in the center, a dim golden light pulsed, unevenly, sputtering. "The attempt failed," one of them said. "She didn't drink." So there was interference, or she has become more observant. A third took a step closer to the circle. "She has begun to move, not as a pawn, as a player." The light in the center of the circle trembled, as if responding. "This is dangerous," someone said. "The princess shouldn't have noticed the crack." She already noticed, and it seems she found those willing to watch her back. A short silence followed. "Then the rules change," said the one who had been silent the longest. "If she cannot be removed quietly, then it must be done loudly," finished another. The golden light in the circle flared and immediately dimmed again. "Or break what she protects. Let her make the choice herself." Silence closed in. Somewhere above, the palace lived its life, unaware that the game had moved to the next phase.
For the next few days, the palace lived its usual life. Meetings, receptions, the rustle of silk, the clinking of glasses, endless litters with seals. Everything looked peaceful. But I didn't know then that this peace was the last. We were in the library. High shelves reached up to the ceiling, a narrow ladder stretched between them, and open folios with crowned seals lay on the floor. "So you can destroy the seal," I said quietly, leafing through a diagram, "but not alone." The cat sat on the railing, his tail swaying lazily. "Yes, but the crown seal is tied to the blood of the ruling family. I need a push from the inside," he answered. I ran my finger along a line leading to the crown symbol, meaning me. "Yes, I tear, you launch." I climbed up, reaching for the top shelf. "Wonderful," I muttered. "I've dreamed my whole life of being a magical lever." I stood on my toes, reached for the necessary book, and in that instant, the step beneath my foot slipped. It all happened too fast. Strong arms caught me in midair. I plummeted down, straight into him, into Kael. He clearly hadn't expected this. We lost balance together and ended up on the floor between the shelves. I lay on his chest, my hands bracing against his shoulders, and his arms, instinctively, tightly, were wrapped around my waist. We froze. I opened my mouth, but no words came. He looked at me from below, not like an advisor at all, just like a man who had a princess fall on his head. Usually, people say hello first and then fall into each other's arms. I blinked. I tripped. The corner of his lip twitched as if he were trying not to smile. "I believe you," he said, but I must admit the effect was convincing. I abruptly pressed my palms against his chest, trying to get up, but he instinctively held me so I wouldn't slip again. "Kael," I whispered, "let go." "As soon as I'm sure you won't fall again," he answered calmly. His fingers were still on my waist. My heart was traitorously beating too fast. "Pull yourself together. This is awkwardness, just awkwardness." But he was too close. I felt his breath, the warmth, that same scent of sandalwood that for some reason knocked my thoughts off course every time. The cat jumped down from the railing and walked closer. "You are interfering with magical flows," he noted dryly, "and to be honest, it's distracting." I squeezed my eyes shut. "Wonderful," I muttered. "Even the familiar is judging us." Kael chuckled softly. "I guess I should let go," he said. I got up, stepping back, feeling my cheeks burning. "That was an unfortunate accident," I said strictly. "Of course, that's what I gathered." The cat hopped back on the railing. "So," he said in a businesslike tone, "the seal can be broken, but only if you stop rolling around on top of each other." I sighed. "Then let's continue," I said, trying to make my voice sound steady. "We seem to have a revolution pending." Kael looked at the scattered books, then at me. "And it seems," he added, "you are the central figure in it." That same night, I woke up because someone was persistently pushing my shoulder. "Ow," I mumbled without opening my eyes. 5 minutes! The shove became harder and sharper. Claws. I sat up abruptly. The cat stood on the bed, fur bristled, tail tense as a wire. He looked at me as if I had slept through the end of the world. "Are you serious?" I whispered. "Now?" "Jet up," he said harshly. They started. Sleep vanished instantly. I felt it immediately, not pain, but pressure. The air in the room had become denser, heavy, as if the palace were slowly contracting around me. "The seals?" I breathed out. The cat nodded. "They are tightening the magic, closing the cracks. If they finish, the connection will be lost." I threw on my cloak and stepped out into the corridor. The palace seemed to lead me itself, down, deeper, to where the magic became cold and dense, like subterranean water. Around a corner, I collided with Kael. He was already waiting. "You feel it too," he said, looking into my eyes. "They were reinforcing the system," I exhaled. "If we don't interfere now—" He nodded. "Then we go to the node." The staircase was hidden behind an old tapestry, narrow, stone, spiraling downward. With every step, the air grew colder and the pressure in my chest stronger. At the bottom, a windowless hall opened. The floor was covered in seals, intertwined like the roots of an ancient tree. In the center, a stone circle, and inside it pulsed a dim golden light. My breath hitched. "Is that—" "The anchor," Kael said quietly. "A fragment of her power. As long as it is here, the seal on the king holds." The cat walked to the very edge of the circle. The light inside trembled as if recognizing him. And at that moment, a voice echoed through the hall. "The princess is interfering in processes she does not understand." 3 figures in gray robes emerged from the shadows. "You are strengthening the seal," I said, "because you are afraid it will collapse." "We are preserving stability," one of them answered. "A ruler's emotions are an impermissible variable." Kael stepped forward, shielding me. "That isn't stability," he said. "That's treason against the crown." Magic clashed. The seals flared with gray light. Spells slammed into Kael's shield. The cat leaped forward and touched the circle. The golden light surged, and a thread extended to me. The world vanished. A stone room, a woman in a circle of seals. Tired, alive. "Liarella," she whispered. "Mom." She heard, and that was enough. A golden wave rolled through the hall. The seals cracked. The mages were thrown against the walls. "Run!" shouted Kael. We ran up while magic crumbled behind us. At the top, I stopped, gasping for air. Kael was still holding my hand. "You connected with her," he said, not a question. "She's alive," I answered, "and they are afraid of that." The cat touched my leg softly. "He feels it," he said. Somewhere above us, the king felt pain for many years for the first time. I exhaled slowly. Now it could no longer be hidden. We ran for a long time, looping, turning where the corridors narrowed, where torches hadn't been lit in ages, where the stone was dark and old, as if the palace itself wanted to hide us. Kael stopped abruptly by an inconspicuous door and shoved me inside. "In here." The door closed. The bolt clicked. We found ourselves in a narrow room, abandoned, cold. It smelled of dust and mold. No one had lived here for a long time. For a few seconds, we just stood there, listening. My lungs burned. My heart hammered too loudly. "Do you hear anyone?" I whispered. "Did we lose them?" He listened, holding his breath. "For now, yes," he answered quietly. Kael stepped to the door, leaning his shoulder against it as if he could stop the entire order with his body alone. Then he exhaled and ran a hand over his face. They tried to get to me too, he said suddenly. I looked up at him. When? The day they tried to poison you. He spoke calmly, but his fingers gripped his sleeve too tightly. I should have gone home, he continued, but I decided to stay at the palace to watch over you. And when I returned home, I felt a trace of magic, dirty, crushing. Something clicked inside me. So, I said slowly, if you had left back then, yes, he answered immediately. I think I wouldn't be choosing a side anymore. I understood. I looked at him and suddenly understood clearly that if everything had happened differently, he wouldn't be here right now. And that thought brought an unexpected calm. I'm glad it turned out this way, I said, that you stayed with me. I took his hand, deliberately, without a rush. He froze, then chuckled. I thought things were more formal between princesses and advisors. Heat rushed to my face. I didn't mean it like that, I said quickly, and tried to pull my hand away. He didn't let go. Not sharply, he just held it. Then tell me exactly what you meant, he answered calmly. Kael squeezed my palm a little tighter and pulled me closer. I didn't realize when exactly I stopped trying to keep my distance. I just ended up right against him, feeling the warmth of his hands, his breath, too close to pretend it was an accident. Kael smiled, softly, slightly mocking, but without a shadow of pressure. He looked straight into my eyes and everything inside me trembled. So you did mean something, he said softly. I couldn't find an answer. He is not on the other side, not the one he was supposed to become. That thought made me feel so warm inside. If he isn't the enemy, does that mean I can? Can I allow myself to feel? His hand still held mine. My thumb moved slightly on its own. He noticed, by my gaze, by the way I froze for a split second. He leaned in, slowly, not taking the initiative, responding to it. I leaned forward too. The distance between us became almost painfully small. I felt his breath against my lips and knew I didn't want to stop. The door creaked quietly. Unbelievable, a familiar voice rang out. Leave you alone for 5 minutes. The cat walked into the room, scanned us, and sat down expressively. The order is scouring the corridors. The king has canceled all meetings. And you are here doing whatever this is. I stepped back sharply. This isn't what you think. The cat blinked slowly. I'm not thinking anything, he said. I am observing and judging. Kael cleared his throat and took a step to the side, returning to his composure. Did you manage to find anything else out? He asked. The order is gathering an emergency council, the cat replied, and they are angry. Somewhere deep in the palace, gray robes were already gathering in a circle, and the king, sitting in solitude, clutched a hand to his chest, and for the first time in years, tried to remember the name of the woman he loved. The descent beneath the throne room wasn't just a secret passage, it was a wound in the body of the palace. The cat walked ahead, head lowered low. His tail was tense, golden eyes glowing brighter than usual. And in my chest, a thin, painful thread pulled toward the center of this place, toward a source that shouldn't exist. Kael walked beside me. Sometimes his fingers brushed mine, briefly, as if by accident. But I knew he was checking if I was here, if I hadn't dissolved into this crushing darkness. Below, a hall opened up, carved straight into the rock. The ceiling was lost in gloom. The floor was covered in seals, complex, interwoven, alive like the roots of an ancient tree. In the center stood a stone throne, not royal,
ritualistic, ancient, cracked. And above it, suspended in the air, hung a sphere of golden light. It pulsed, like a heart not allowed to beat at full strength. "Princess," a voice said, "you are interfering with what has supported the Empire for a decade. You weren't supporting the Empire, you were holding it by the throat." "It is stability," one of them replied calmly. "The Empire survived because its rulers did not allow feelings to govern decisions." Kael stepped forward, shielding me. Silver light flared around his hands. "You call that stability," he said coldly. "I call it treason against the crown." The seals beneath us responded. The air shuddered. The cat leapt forward and landed directly under the sphere. Her fur erupted with golden sparks. She lifted her muzzle as if speaking to what was inside. The sphere trembled. The pulse quickened. "Stop the familiar," the mage ordered sharply. Spells flew from their hands, gray like ash. Kael threw up his arms, and a silver dome rose before us. Magic strikes shattered against it in flashes. The seals underfoot came alive, reaching for me, trying to hold me. But the golden light reached out in return, recognizing. A voice sounded in my head. Weak, kindred. "Liarella, I'm here," I whispered. I touched the light. The world flared. A sunny garden, laughter, the king's hand in a woman's hand. My first cry. A shadow in the doorway. Gray robes. A spell stealing a voice. Stone. Loneliness. "I will get you out, Mom," I said through tears. "I swear." At that moment, the doors to the hall burst open. The king entered first, without a crown, without a robe, sword in hand. Behind him moved the guard, a dense formation, silent, visors down. Further back, advisors and officers, confused but no longer doubting whom to follow. "Step away from my family," he said loud and clear. The seal on his chest flared with darkness, trying to contract. He gritted his teeth but took another step, stood beside me. "I remember," he whispered. "I remember everything." The mages exchanged glances. "The ritual is broken," one of them said sharply. "Take what can be saved." I felt it before I saw it. The magic around the cat changed. Gray, sticky, cold. "No!" I screamed. The cat turned. His gaze was calm, warm. "Quiet," he said softly. "I am fine." "They're taking you," my voice broke. "I will leave a trail." The gray robes began to dissolve into the shadows. "Search!" He didn't finish. Light flashed. The members of the order vanished along with the royal familiar. The king fell to his knees, breathing heavily. His face was alive, distorted by Cain, love, and hope. I fell beside him. "They took him," I whispered. The king slowly rose to his feet. His face was pale, pain still trembling in his eyes, alive, real, but the emptiness was gone. He looked at his hands as if seeing them for the first time. "Liarella," he rasped. His voice was weak but real. I turned around. Standing at the entrance to the hall was a woman, supported by a guard. Weak, pale, but alive. Silver light shimmered in her hair, and her eyes were the same ones I knew from memories. My mother. The king took a step, then another, carefully, as if afraid she might disappear. When their eyes met, he exhaled, sharply, like a man who had held his breath for too long. "I thought you lost me." "You didn't lose me," she answered quietly. "You were made to forget." He sank to his knees before her, like a man who had been returned the most important thing, and who realized the price paid for it. Kael stood nearby. His fingers gripped my hand, tightly, a little harder than necessary, as if it were the only thing keeping him here and now.
They left, he said quietly. Not a question, a statement. I nodded. And took him. He didn't answer immediately. Then this isn't the end, he said finally. Not even close. The political silence. The king canceled all meetings. The order was not declared defeated. Names were not named, orders were not given. But everyone felt it. The old order had cracked. At dawn, I went out onto the balcony. The city below was waking up, knowing nothing of how close it had been to catastrophe. The wind tousled my hair, cold and clear. For a second, it seemed to me there was something familiar in that wind. Not a voice, not a sound, a trace. I closed my eyes. I will find you, I whispered. Do you hear me? Footsteps sounded behind me. Talking to the void again? Kael asked softly. I started, not having time to say anything. Kael stepped closer and suddenly hugged me from behind. Calmly, confidently, he pressed himself to me as if it were the most natural decision in the world. I froze. His breath touched my temple. I'm glad, he said quietly. The king is free, the queen is alive. And you are here, whole. I felt his arms, his chest against my back, and everything inside me became tangled. I wanted to break free and simultaneously stay like this for just a moment longer. We will get the cat back too, he added, together. At that word, together, it became incredibly awkward. I swallowed, trying to pull myself together. I carefully covered his hand with mine. We will, I said, softer than I intended.